Beautiful. Well, guys, welcome to the Fisherman's Digest. It's John Bergsma with Captain Steve Hubert and my son Grant. We're out here in the port of Alpena, one of our favorite places to fish. That fish took exactly 4 rods to set. We're not even halfway set up. Stay tuned, you're in for a good show. Yeah, that's a fish.
Take him, John.
All right.
5th line in the water, another one goes off.
We're trying to set the 5th line. We're not having too good a success. This is a better fish. What we've got going here, I'm the helmsman. Well, my son Grant and Captain Steve set. We're setting out some copper rods now. 125 copper is Steve's length of choice here. We're pretty shallow. We're only about 55 feet of total depth right now. And man, we just basically went outside of Thunder Bay. And you know, the minute we got outside, you know, we're into the fish. I mean, we're literally just a less than a 2-mile drive from putting our sets out. Grant's gonna help me take this off. So what we're doing here is we've got a set of 125 copper and we're running them on just a standard offshore board. Now, standard meaning for me, that's I'm a walleye guy, that's the middle board. You know, you've got the super little boards, the panfish boards, then you've got the standard board, and then you got the big Magnum salmon boards. But if you're just light copper fishing, you know, not you know, 250, 300, things like that, then you're perfectly fine to just, these boards will handle 125, 175 copper all day long. It's when you get up over 200 that you're gonna step up to the big Magnum boards. And you just bring this copper in real steady, basically keeping pressure on these fish. You know, we're just fishing for fun today. We're gonna keep a few fish, gonna release most of them, and we're shooting for a mixed bag. You know, Alpena is known for a mixed bag fishery. Lake trout, steelhead, Atlantics, a splash of some kings. Captain Steve whaled on a really nice king, an over 20-pound king last week. And you know, so you get everything here, and that's kind of what makes the fishery so much fun, is that you just really can get pretty much anything. You get into Thunder Bay itself, and walleye are not unusual at all. Captain Steve will target them in the months of late May and June in the evenings, board fishing, and then even during his regular charters during the daytime, it's not unusual at all for Steve to send me pictures of him catching some really nice walleye mixed in with his silverfish bag. So this is one of those fisheries that you absolutely have to come to and experience. You know, it's a fantastic fishery. Here we go, I see color. We'll back them. Oh, a nice fish. Nice fish, Steve. Wow. Wow, are they beautiful too. We're just fishing a standard spoon set there. Another one for your club fish fry, Steve-O.
Mm-hmm. Walleye Club needs a bunch of fish tonight.
The Fisherman's Digest is brought to you by Crestliner, forged with strength, defined by durability. Strike King Lures, tie one on. Mercury Marine, go boldly.
That was a big rip.
Good fish, yeah.
Yeah. Nice fish. Man, these Alpena fish are just so consistent and so nice. Oh my gosh, are those nice lake trout. Spoon is out.
Another one.
Another one. Grant's fish right here. Well, Steve wrangles the other one. Nice fish, Grant. Look at that. Alpena, Michigan, baby. This one's going in the box. You're on the net, Grant. Yep. Just lay that down, clear the spoon.
Another fish.
Another fish, triple.
The only boat in the parking lot.
Boom. Flip them out and take your fish, Grant, on that inside board.
So what we got here is predominantly a lake trout fishery. This one here is actually a planted fish, missing adipose fin. They plant about 1.3 million of these lake trout out here to reestablish them in Lake Huron. And as you can see, with 3 fish on at once, it's obviously mission accomplished.
Grant's got one, bringing one in on the longboard.
They love the copper.
Big copper is great. This right here is why you come to Alpena. We just had 4 on at once. Grant's got a nice one. I'm trying to steer, I'm trying to net. You can't set that many rods in here in Alpena because the fishing is silly. I just lowered my Trax Tex Dipsy rod holder. We're using a rail mounted system here today while Grant reels this fish in. And what Trax Tex gives you is the ability to completely put your entire setup on either side of your boat. We've got our downrigger, an electric downrigger. We've got our Dipsy rod holders, which have been on fire this morning, and we got our high lines on a 4-banker tree. And it is producing big results right now. Wow. Fish number 5, and that one has been feeding, Steve-O. That's a healthy fish, Grant. Good job.
Is it 6? Got a board going on the outside, and as you can see, we got the drag slowly clicking out. So it's important to keep your drag set really lightly on these lake trout. They got a soft mouth. They'll pull free if you have the drag set too hard.
One of the things as Grant reels this fish in, you'll notice we're running 3 boards on each side. And we're able to do that because the fish, once they hit, typically will start to rise up towards the surface. So even if you had 2 sets of 125 right next to each other, you're still going to clear it because the deeper one's going to, the one that doesn't have a fish on, right, Steve, is going to maintain its depth. And the one that has the hooked fish will come up towards the surface, correct?
A majority of the time, they'll rise up to the surface while they're fighting and clear the other inside line.
Now, Steve, while Grant fights that fish in, you run chum bucket charters here out of Alpena. You're really gone to a year-round program now. You'll guide not just the nearshore waters of Alpena and Hubbard Lake, but you'll also do some ice fishing trips and stuff up on Long and Grand.
Long Grand is excellent perch fishing, and then once the ice gets safe on Hubbard Lake, we go out there for the giant jumbo perch and walleye.
Exactly, and basically, so you're working year-round and people can book a charter with you, but you know, from basically the 1st of May all the way through the end of September, it's mostly fishing here out of the nearshore waters of Alpena and Thunder Bay, correct?
Yes, we chase primarily the lake trout, but I'm always trying to get into the silverfish and walleye mixed right in. It's not unusual to get 3, 4, 5 different species on a single trip.
I've seen tons of your pictures, and of course we do your fishing report, so, and I've seen tons of them come through. There's one.
Another fish, doubled up.
Doubled up.
Unless it's
That
dangled.
might be cranking. Isn't acting like it, but it didn't take it either. What you got to do here, guys, when you're fighting this and you see Grant and Steve, take your time. You don't want to rush the situation because, you know, you can get both fish in and you can not create a jumbled mess. What you don't want to do is have one guy with slack line and the other guy with taut line. You want to just slowly bring them in simultaneously together so that you give yourself a chance not only to catch the fish, but if one of those rods has got to go under or over to keep them from getting to be a mess, because trust me, wire line is a complete mess when you get it messed up.
Well, the fish had something to say about that. There we go.
There's another fish, just what we said we didn't want. Outside rod, we're gonna drag it though.
Tripled up?
Tripled up.
Non-stop.
Yeah, Grant's is a good fish. Oh.
Got time to go get another one.
The Fisherman's Digest is brought to you by Offshore Tackle, leaders in trolling technology. Trax Tech, the ultimate fishing system.
Yep, you got one inside, inside. Take the inside one first. Big fish.
Tripled up. Man, we got
Tripled
one on the
up,
rigger.
got one on the rigger.
Four on. There it popped.
Oh, this
That's
is
a
a
big
good
fish.
fish too.
That'd be a good one.
Okay, hang on. This is how you do it, man. We're putting the rigger fish in here.
You net this one, John.
We're gonna net this one.
A quad. Got 4 going.
Goes here. Board goes there. Love these babies. They keep everything spread. Slow down, Grant. No, you're good.
No, I'm not.
Okay, are you under or over me? Okay. Go rod high. Go rod high. Steve,
Yep, coming.
slide right through here. Let him fight just a little. Oh my gosh. Got another fish here. Oh my goodness. This is nuts.
A good chaos.
Look at that beautiful sight there with the geese flying across the water. This is what you get when you come to the Great North, buddy. The sunrise side is just probably the most undiscovered thing, don't you think, Steve-O?
Absolutely. Non-stop action every morning. He was hooked good.
And I'll tell you what, smoked lake trout are ridiculously good, aren't they?
They've changed so much. We have a goby-based system here. They eat nothing but gobies primarily. So they're not the lake trout of the old days where they ate alewife and had a strong flavor. They are very delicious.
Slow down, Grant.
Two of the 4 that are on right now.
There's one on the rigger.
Dipsy?
Dipsy, I mean, yep. It's just the silliest thing. Ah.
There's number 3.
On this pass.
Kind of twins.
You guys have seen firsthand the just crazy fishing here in Alpena, but what you also got to witness firsthand is this tremendous rear fishing platform of this 2050 Authority Crestliner. This boat has got tons of room. I mean, our 2 seats here, we move one of the traveler seats up to the front just to get it out of the way, and you have this entire rear of this cockpit. You've got a huge live well. We've already got 12 Lakers in that live well. Nice fish, just plenty of room. We've got a full system of Trax Tech rod holders. We got the 4 bank trees. That's 4 rod holders on 1 tree Then we've got our equipment and cup holder. Then we got our down dipsies. Now we're only running one dipsy today because as you see, if you run two dipsies, you just want to pull your hair out. The fishing's so good. And so we've just got one, but there's room for two. And then we've got double rod holders on our downriggers. And right now that system allows us to efficiently work like that. Now, one other thing to point out is right here, this 4 bank of trees, you saw me earlier today already jam a rod in there, grab the net a fish, go back to the rod and catch that fish. This is an important piece of equipment because it gives you the ability to get rid of a rod when you've got doubles and triples on it. Just let it drag a fish behind the boat. I'm imagining them laying on your smoker at home, Steve-O.
That makes 2 of us.
All right, so this baby.
Yep. Okay.
And all the boards are in the boat again.
Oh my goodness.
Another one.
Big one.
Oh, that's a big one. He ripped it hard.
Oh, I can't get it
You were turning. I got one here too.
Yep, double.
Double dipsies.
Double dipsy.
Oh my gosh, did he hit that thing? This is a big fish. We're just gonna stand here and try to control ourselves. Okay, Granny, I'll open this. You dump that fish in, you get the net, and we got a double. So when you come to Alpena, Michigan to go lake trout fishing, whether you book a charter with Captain Steve or whether you come on your own, what you really need to understand is that you're fishing a little bit higher than traditional big lake fishing. You know, you hear a lot of people talk about coppers in the 200, 250, 300 range. That's not normal fishing here in Alpena. The lake trout and the steelhead fishery here is really good, but Captain Steve uses primarily a mix of anything as high as 75 copper down to 200 copper, with 125 seeming to be the benchmark for most of the rods that we've been doing really good with today. Now this fishery is really consistent, meaning it starts from the minute you can put your boat on the water in the spring. Basically the ice clears off, those lakers are going to come in that 30 to 50 foot total depth range, and they're going to hold there pretty much the whole season. Now sure, the silverfish like the kings and the Atlantics and the steelhead, they're going to be more mobile, they're going to move around a little bit, and you're going to have to chase those in traditional ways. But Chase, this is a sweet fish. Captain Steve runs some really basic sets. He really likes brightly colored spoons, run on mono leaders right to your copper and then to your backing, and no need for great big paddles or all kind of fancy things like that. He's basically just putting brightly colored spoons down there at different varying depths behind the offshore boards. And the boards are critical when you're doing this presentation, as well as the Trax rod holder system, because it's really important that you put a spread of baits out there. You don't know exactly where the activity level of each is, and so you're going to want to have a spread of like a couple of high lines, maybe 75 coppers, then the base, a couple of more 125s, and maybe go out to 150 or 175 copper, and then go ahead and go to your dipsies. You got to remember one thing about Alpena. This is gin clean water, and when I say gin clean, I mean you could literally see bottom in 40 feet of water if it was dead mirror flat, which means you don't have to necessarily bump these fish on the head. These fish are able to see your bait, they'll come up for it, they'll hit it if they're aggressive, and for the most part, lake trout are always aggressive. Here we go. We get halfway back to the launch. We think, well, let's just fish our way back. We're only 2.5, wow, this is a nice fish. We're only 2.5 miles from the launch. Why don't we just drop everything in and fish? Got an Atlantic. You know, one of the cool things also about Alpena is that mixed bag we talked about earlier, is that You know, we're very, very close up by the Straits area, and a lot of the Atlantics that are planted up in the St. Mary's River, up by Sault Ste. Marie, they'll make it down here, and especially in the summertime, you'll start to see a really good mixed bag of Atlantics in your catch, and that's kind of a fun thing because there's just not a lot of places in the world anymore you can go and consistently catch Atlantics.
They're crazy. Crazy fish. He's off now.
Crazy. He's off.
He's off now. He has a lamprey bite. Boy. And that has a missing adipose. So that's an Alpena plant or a Lexington plant right there. Yeah, he's not part of the catch.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today on Fisherman's Digest. 5 species in one day. Lake trout early, coho, kings, Atlantic, steelhead, you name it, Alpena's got it. Thanks for joining us.